As my eyes continue to open and I see what's what, I know why revolution is the only solution. If we want radical change, we must be the change.
Hi guys, welcome back to Duel Perspectives. I'm Diamond Simons.
And I'm Sami Iman.
And if you're new to our channel,
welcome. And if you're already part of our growing family, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Yes.
And so guys, we have made it to June.
We made it.
We made it. And I know like with the coronavirus and everything going on, we didn't think we would, but we're here. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to us. We are here and we made it, and yes, grateful. Thank you. Thank you. And so for this month's book of the month, we are reading Blood and Tears by Mellenee Carpenter. And it is our first poetry book of the year.
Yay!
And the thing about poetry is that, you know, it's subjective. It speaks differently to different people. I think that's the greatest thing about written word in general, is that what you read, you interpret differently based off of your background, your experiences. And so what might resonate with me may not resonate with you. And it's just great because it can start a lot of great dialogue and conversations around things that are going on. And depending on the poetry book, it can spark all kinds of things. And let me tell you something. This book sparks all kinds of things.
It's a flame, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's like you start out, it's like starts to ignite, and then once you start getting into it, you're like, okay, let's go take some action.
It is
let's
deep.
Go do
Get
something.
your scuba gear.
Yes.
Because it is deep.
It is it's great in my mind. Because just being the type of person that I am, knowing and learning a lot about our history in general, you know, and knowing about the areas in which we came from and how much further we still have to go. There's a lot of things that are always shielded, I feel like, from us. Sometimes it's from our parents because they don't want us to think about, you know, our history, you know, because it is not a very pleasant one, right? And then also you're shielded from it in school because if you knew the truth, we're just gonna leave those dots there. So, and so it takes books like these, poetry books, even novels and biographies and autobiographies, to shed light on things that we tend to look past. Things that we tend to think, oh, well, that's not going on anymore. And it actually is.
Right.
You know, so. And
she's very real. I mean, she hits a lot of different areas. I mean, like relationships.
Yeah.
What was it?
Social unrest, political, immigration. Like she hits a lot of things that are going on in society. And I mean, it's good. It's things that if we've forgotten these things are happening, like we need to be reminded, and we need to be reminded that our job is not done.
Right.
And even if you can't be out there in the front lines protesting or doing like legit activism work, you can still do your part.
Right.
You know, you can still make a difference in someone else's life, even if it's just taking the brother or sister sitting next to you and educating them a little bit about your history. You know, letting them know where you come from, because if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. And
or truly what you stand for.
Absolutely.
Or, you know.
Absolutely. And so I truly recommend this book. It is great, and especially with everything going on right now, it's going to spark a lot of things inside of you. And I'm going to be honest, some of it may be a little hard to digest, especially with everything going on, and not because it's bad or it's wrong or in some way, but because
it's the truth.
It's the truth. And everything is already a little heavy right now. Mm-hmm. And so it is just kind of like adding to it, right? It's like you gotta open your eyes.
Yeah, and for us, as we're filming this right now, we're in the midst of all the protesting for George Floyd.
Right.
And that whole situation, which was unacceptable and very tragic. And I've had my fair share of tears this week, listening to everyone speaking on it and, you know, watching everyone unite and come together. And, you know, even though we're not out there with you on the front line, you know, we're still here with you.
Yeah.
You know, so, and we're doing our part on this end to reach people. Yeah. And so, reading this book while all of that is going on, it couldn't have come at a more perfect time.
Right.
And this is our June book of the month, and, you know, we're still in May, the end of May right now as we're filming this, so that, you know, we could get this out to you guys in June, the beginning of June. But it really hit the heart a little bit. So.
Yeah. And so we found a couple of poems in here that we want to read to you guys. Kind of ones that stuck out to us.
Yes.
Did you want to read yours first?
I will go first. Before I start crying, then I won't be able to speak it all. And I do want to put a disclaimer. This is heavy. This is deep. So stay with me. It's called Watchful Eyes. Their eyes watched God as they were sold into slavery. Their eyes watched God as they were dehumanized on ships. Their eyes watched God as they were beaten, murdered, separated, and merchandised. Their eyes watched God as they were raped, left for dead, stripped of everything except their soul. Their eyes watched God, but was it too late? Was it something their ancestors did that brought this fate? Was God angry with the children who had melanin in their skin? What was the sin they committed worthy of this punishment? I'm sure those were the questions behind their eyes. When they looked up into the blood-filled skies, raining injustice and cruelty over 300 years of suffering and woe, tears, terror, taunts daily prescribed. Yet by some miracle, their spirits survived. Broken but not destroyed, their glory remained alive. Though it seemed God was silent, their stares he must have caught. Secretly he raised up a heroic, valiant men and women who loved more than most, loved sacrificially, prized justice and liberty, whose souls wouldn't rest until they tasted victory, and it was bittersweet. But once they broke forth, they saw they had potential to lead. Limits could be pushed and foundations shaken, discovered truth, and no one can take it.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. And so that poem, what it says to me is that despite our history, despite everything that our people have gone through as a culture, as a society, we can still rise up and be valiant. We can still rise up and lead just like we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. We can still rise up and demand justice just like we're doing right now. You know, like we are so strong, and we're strong not only in the fact that we can do that, but we're also strong in our compassion and our love for everyone.
And then once you know you can lead, no one can take that away from you.
Absolutely.
Game over.
So good. So good.
So deep.
Yes.
So good.
Okay, so I'm going to read the one that I found that I thought was so good. And it just really, so good. So it's called Civil Unrest. What is the solution to political pollution, vile corruption, racial oppression? We need more confessions, less institutions. They are useless, minds prostituted for filthy lucre. Pretty sure I said that wrong, but that's okay. But no one really wants to stir the pot because the ones who do typically get shot, silenced or buried one way or another. When will we realize we all need each other? To survive, to stay alive, we must let go of fear and pride. Wide is the grave made for those who won't think for themselves. We drink from the well of mediocrity. People too busy arguing philosophies, but all these degrees ain't got us free. I'm not just talking about one color, I speak of humanity. The ones whose hearts bleed, enslaved to poverty, the working poor, leaves once green falling from trees, believing in liberty, we vote. But are the people heard? Excuse me if I step on toes, but I see nothing more than an illusion, a false impression to keep us wishing with worthless pennies into a fountain of lies. Our greatest leaders have died. Who dared reveal the truth? What blazing torch will we pass our youth? As my eyes continue to open and I see what's what, I know why revolution is the only solution. If we want radical change, we must be the change.
And that's on period.
So good. So good.
Period.
And the funny thing is, I think that you and I actually had a conversation about this like a couple of weeks ago. And I think I remember you asking me, like, so do you want everybody to just rise up and take over? But the truth of the matter is, like if we look back in just history in general, the only time big institutions have changed is when there's been radical change, when there has been an uprising. Like, you know, if you think about the Civil War, you know, like where would we be if we never had the Civil War? And I mean, granted, it wasn't because of what they like to tell us it was about. Like, it wasn't about slavery. I mean, it was a part of it, but that's not the main reason why we had the Civil War. It was mostly about land and taxes, just so you know. But
thank you.
You're welcome. But the thing about it is that if we hadn't had that, things would not have changed, right? And so the truth of the matter is that in order for there to be change, there has to be a mass movement. It doesn't necessarily have to be like we're burning everything down, but there has to be a big movement to where the powerful have to succumb to what we want. Yep. And the truth of the matter, if you didn't know this, you outnumber them. Remember that. You outnumber them. And if we all band together and work together to make sustainable, radical change, they have no choice but to submit.
Absolutely.
So, good stuff.
Heavy stuff. I tell you what, if we make it out of 2020 alive, I will buy the drinks. I will
Party
buy
at Diamonds. Yes.
But Jesus,
but yeah, honestly, I recommend this book because it is, man, it's gonna stir up so much stuff in you. And you know, I mean, if you want to stay oblivious to everything that's going on in your history and stuff like that, then honestly, don't buy it.
Right.
Because living in a, you know, your own peaceful world, I guess you could say, thinking that everything is all hunky dory and peachy keen, it's great. Do you, boo? Because as Tabitha Brown would say, that's your business. But if you truly want to, like, understand things, like maybe you're not big on reading large texts, you know, like novels and autobiographies and biographies, because let's face it, some of it's boring, I get it. But you want a glimpse into the truth about what's going on, especially for our non-melanated friends out there and family. Get this book so you understand and so you can see where we as a people are coming from.
Yeah, and I'm not a poetry person. I used to joke all the time, like, I can't read between the lines. Like, you tell me the sky is purple on the other side of the rainbow or something crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? I am not a poetry person. But this book was more like a history book, or like a eye-opening book. It was super easy to read, and it was straight to the point. There was no, like, read between the lines to understand what I'm saying. It's like, no, this is what it is, and this is what I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
And I love that. I love that. This was probably the best poetry book I've ever read.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we will leave the link on where you can get this in the description below. And like we said before, you guys out there on the front lines, although we can't be with you, we stand in solidarity with you. We love you guys so much, and we'll see you next month. Bye.